Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, September 4th, about 7:45 at night, and this is our daily recap video for LFGY. It's YieldMax's crypto industry option income ETF. Before I get into it, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1. I post all things related to the ETFs that I cover, videos coming out, trades, distributions, everything like that. All right, we take a look at the market today, specifically for LFGY. They were down 1.65%, closing at an even 34. They did make back a little bit of ground after hours, about 9 cents. Just a rough one. A lot of red with a little bit of green sprinkled in. We did not have any major changes within the fund. As you saw on the thumbnail, there was nothing crossed out to indicate we sold out of it, and nothing added to it as in new purchases. After 5:30, we were able to download the trades. We had to scroll down. LFGY went from line 520 down to 582, so 62 trades. As you can see, though, they only give us the QSIP information, what the action was, whether it was a buy, a sell, buy to close, or sell short. The amount of contracts and the contract price. So we have to add a column to multiply it all out. I've got to adjust it to make purchases negatives, to make the cash flow work. And then we sort it all out to make it easier to go through and be able to tell what was a complete closeout. If we had closing positions complete, like all the contracts within that position, you get the orange kind of for under construction to show the same thing over here. That way we know that portion will be changing for the once the holdings come out later on. That way we don't have to sit and talk about options that are no longer in play anymore because we just said they got traded out. Okay, so right off the bat, no purchasing or selling of any shares. It was Dividend X day, so as long as you purchased your LFGY shares prior to today and held them today, you will be getting the distribution tomorrow, that 44.1 cents per share. And as far as options trades go, they started off closing and rolling their Bitmine immersion covered calls or call spreads to next week. That resulted in a profit of $81,000, or I'll call it a credit. We're going to call these credits and debits from now on, just to get our terminology a little bit better. BitDeer technology, again, closing and rolling from this week to next week, cost us $284,000. So BitDeer, what we had was a put spread that cost us all the money. We sold puts at, what's that, $13.50, and had to pay 95 cents a share on 5,200 contracts with 100 shares per contract. So that cost $500,000 and really basically cost us the trading day. $284,000 debit. CleanSpark. So this was odd. We're going to see a lot of this today. Just selling more of either the call spread or the put spread. Generally, that only happens when more shares were purchased. But as we saw, no more shares were purchased. And if we look on the other page, it's not like we were leaving anything on the table. So CleanSpark, 60 contracts. But if we take a look, CleanSpark had 636,714 shares, meaning you could sell a maximum of 6,367 contracts, which they already were. So they're already maxed out and selling more. I mean, nothing says they can't. It's just a call spread, but generally they do it in alignment with how many shares they had. In any case, that brought in $780. Coinbase close and roll to next week resulted in a credit of $139,000, paying 52 cents a share to close out those 320s, collecting $4 and $5 plus on next week's sale. Only had to drop the strike by $5 to $3.15. They don't buy protective puts here, so they either sell calls, and then purchase calls further out of the money, or do the same thing with puts, but they're not buying puts just to protect their shares. Core Scientific had a credit, I don't know if I mentioned that, $139,000 credit on Coinbase. Core Scientific, $107,000 credit. Again, closing out that call spread, selling the new for next week. Not a ton of money in there, paying 3 cents, collecting 30. Circle, so now we've got a whole line of just selling more call spreads. On Circle, ETHA, Galaxy, GameStop, Hood, and Hut 8 Corp, bringing in $500, $650, $900, $1,300, $1,700, and $1,000 on each of those. All of them being call credit spreads, so they're all going to have a positive or bring in a credit. Mara Holdings close and roll to next week resulted in a debit of $132,000. So what they had was both a call spread and a put spread. The put spread's what cost all the money to close out right there. So moving forward, they only sold a call spread next week. No put spread going into next week. Debit of $132,000. Then we're back to just selling more call spreads on MBTX, Mercado Libre, Strategy, NU Holdings, NVIDIA. We'll stop there for a second. $696,000, $2,900, $1,900, $1,100, and $400 credits. Opera, it's not a call spread, it's just selling a call. And so let's see real quick, 43, do we have any extra room? Because this does make a difference. 4,488 is the most we could sell, and that's what we did sell. So these are naked calls that are sold. There aren't shares to go along with them, and it's not a spread, so it has no protection on the other side. So these have unlimited risk potential. Obviously, they can just pay to close them out, but in the event Opera goes to the moon during these after hours, they're unlimited on how much they could have to spend to close those out. And then finally, we'll go PayPal and Riot, 2 more credit spreads, bringing in $980 and $1,400, and then they sold a put spread on XYZ, $900 credit. So all of the trading resulted in a debit of $68,000. Still in the positive so far for the week. And remember, it's a short week, so they're going to bring in a lot less money. But we had a decrease in value as well, $3.5 million. We'll go through the holdings to see why. Bitmine was down almost 6%. All those positions were closed and rolled. BitDeer Technology was the big loser today, down 9.4%. Again, those positions were closed and rolled as well. Unfortunately, they had a put spread sold there, so that drop actually not only dropped the value of the fund because of the change in market value, but it also made the puts more expensive to close out, so they kind of lost twice there. CleanSpark down 3.8%. Calls sold expiring tomorrow at 9:50 are 4.6% out of the money. Coinbase Global up 1.5%. They went ahead and closed and rolled these out to the following week. Core Scientific, they got closed and rolled to next week as well after going up 0.29%. Circle Internet Group dropped by 0.8%. No action taken. 125s are already rolled to next week. They're 6.3% out of the money. iShares Ethereum Trust ETF down 4.6% today. 36s have already been rolled to next week. They're 11.5% out of the money. There's $1.8 million in government funds and negative $600,000 in cash. So really a little over $1 million total dry powder sitting here. Galaxy Digital down over 6% today. $24 calls expire tomorrow. They're 4.7% out of the money. GameStop down 2.2%. They've got 24s that have already been rolled to next week. They're 7.2% out of the money. Robinhood Markets was up 2% today. 108s are expiring tomorrow. So one trading day left. They're almost 5% out of the money. Hut 8 Corp down 7.44%. So we've seen a lot of pretty big drops. Those 27s expire tomorrow, and they are 5.4% out of the money now. So they were in the money before today's drop. So that's gonna make winning this trade better, but it hurts more by dropping the value. iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF, that's IBIT, down 2.25%. No options to speak of, so it's just that change in market value, $400,000 drop. Mara Holdings down almost 5%. We talked about it. There was a call spread and a put spread. The put spread is what cost all the money to close out. Everything's been closed and rolled, and going forward, there's only a call spread going into next week. MBTX dropped to 259.70. They also have a call spread and a put spread, but this one's slightly different. It's a call credit spread with these 280s expiring September 19th. They're currently 7.8% out of the money. Then they also have this debit put spread. So they paid for this. 255s is what we're watching, and the closer that strike or the share price drops towards that 255, the more that value will increase to help win that trade. They expire December 31st. Mercado Libre up 1.88%. 2430s have already been rolled to next week. They're only 0.5% out of the money after today's increase. Strategy down 0.8%. $347.50 calls expiring tomorrow are 6% out of the money, so that should get nice and cheap and get closed out for a win. NU Holdings down to 0.23%, but this is a put spread, so the 15s were already in the money and they went just a little deeper in the money. 0.9%. They expire tomorrow. Nvidia up 0.6%. They've got calls expiring next week at 172.50 that are 0.5% out of the money. Opera, that's not supposed to be green. I marked the big loser and forgot to mark the big winner. Don't know how I got green on that one. So hold, please. 0.6, 1.8, 2%. So Robinhood Markets was the big winner today. We forgot to mention it while we talked about them. Okay, back to Opera, up 0.28%. They've got 1750 calls expiring on the 19th that are 1.6% in the money. PayPal down 1.69%. This is another one. They've got a put spread sold, so those sold puts are already in the money and went even further in the money, 3.7%. They're at $71 strike expiring next Friday. Riot down 2.16%. $14.50 calls expiring tomorrow are 10% out of the money. And finally, Block down 0.03% or 2 cents. You can see the difference there, previous close to today's close. Again, it's a put spread where the 77s were sold and they are in the money by 1.6%. They don't expire till next Friday, though, so no action needs to be taken. And all of those mostly drops, a couple of increases, resulted in a $3.5 million decrease in value. Assets under management is $181 million. There's 5,250,000 outstanding shares. The NAV when the day started was $34.51. So obviously today's drop brought our share price down. And that is all I have for you. If you want today's joke, you got to go watch Ulti's video. I didn't have to. And I forgot to mention in the other video, but if you haven't heard already, WPay came out. That's Roundhill's new Universe ETF, Weekly Pay Universe ETF. I did make a video on it last night. So if you are interested in that Universe fund that is a collection of all of their weekly pay leveraged funds, check that out. It's going to be paying not next week, but the week after that, its first distribution. Okay, thank you, everybody. Good luck trading tomorrow. Don't forget to close out your options tomorrow if you have any expiring, and have a great day.